Okay, so you're thinking about real estate investing. That's awesome. There's traditional buying, and then there's getting creative with financing.
Uh-huh.
But no matter how you're approaching it, there's this one element that can seriously make or break a deal. Honestly, most people don't even realize how crucial it is.
Right.
We're talking title companies.
Yeah, they're not the flashiest part of real estate,
Hmm.
but man, they can save your bacon.
They can.
Think of them like the real estate detectives. Before you buy a place, they dig into its whole history, make sure there are no hidden surprises waiting to jump out at you later.
So they're like property historians digging through the past.
Exactly. They're looking at every owner, every transaction, anything that could cause problems down the line.
What kind of problems are we talking about here? Give you the scary stuff.
Oh man, imagine you close on a house, you're all excited, and suddenly someone shows up saying, "Hey, I own part of that."
Oh, no.
Or maybe there's a debt on the house that you had no clue about. Those are the kinds of nightmares a title company helps you avoid.
Okay, so how do they do that? How do they unearth all these potential problems?
It's called a title search.
But
They go through all these records looking for unpaid taxes,
uh-huh.
liens, which are basically debts tied to the property itself,
Right.
boundary disputes with the neighbors, anything that could make selling the property difficult later.
So they're looking for anything that could pop up and bite you later on, even after you've already bought the place.
Exactly. And to protect you from those hidden issues, there's title insurance.
Okay, so it's literally insurance for the property's title.
Yeah, think of it as a safety net for both the buyer and the lender, in case the title search missed something.
So if something does happen, something they didn't find,
Yeah.
the title insurance steps in.
Yeah, they handle the legal costs, the financial losses. You don't have to deal with that mess yourself.
That's huge, especially if you're just starting out in real estate.
Right. And then on top of that, title companies also handle escrow services.
Escrow.
Basically, they're this neutral party holding everyone's money and paperwork until all the conditions of the deal are met.
So they're like the referees making sure everything's fair.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And finally, they handle all the closing coordination.
the actual closing.
Yep. Making sure all the papers are signed, filed, and the whole thing goes off without a hitch.
Sounds like they do a lot.
Oh.
Do you have any stories of a title company actually saving someone from a major headache?
Oh, yeah, tons. I remember this investor who was buying a duplex.
Okay.
During the title search, the company found an unpaid tax lien on the property.
Oh, man.
It could have been a disaster. But they worked with the seller, got it all cleared up before closing. The investor was totally in the clear.
That's awesome. What about the opposite? Someone who didn't use a title company and it came back to bite them.
Oh, that happens too, unfortunately. People try to save a buck and it ends up costing them way more in the end.
Got any examples?
I knew this investor who found what they thought was this amazing deal, right? Bought a property subject to, meaning they took over the existing mortgage,
Okay.
didn't bother with a professional title search. A few months later, bam, a second mortgage appears out of nowhere.
Oh, no.
And guess who is now responsible?
Not them.
Yep. They had to pay it off, wiped out any profit they were hoping for. A tough lesson that a good title company is an investment, not an expense.
Absolutely. So how do you even find a good title company? What should people be looking for?
Two big things: experience and reputation.
Okay.
You want a company that's been around the block, especially if you're doing more complex deals like wholesaling or those subject to transactions.
Makes sense. How can someone who's new to this know if a company has a good reputation?
Best thing is to ask around. Talk to agents, lenders, other investors, people who've worked with them before.
Word of mouth.
Exactly.
Okay, what about licensing and insurance? Should that be on the checklist?
For sure. Always make sure they're properly licensed and insured. Protects you if something goes wrong and shows they're legitimate.
So experience, reputation, licensing, insurance. What else?
Look at their process, how efficient they are. How long does a title search take? This can impact your closing, so you want someone who can move things along.
Right. Time is money.
Yeah.
What about creative financing? Are there specific things to look for in a title company if you're going that route?
Yeah, you need a company that's comfortable with those kinds of deals.
Comfortable meaning.
They need to understand how assignments, double closings, different financing structures like land contracts or novations work.
Hold on. Assignments, double closings, novations. Could you break those down for us newbies?
Sure, an assignment is when you transfer your rights in a purchase contract to another buyer.
Okay.
A double closing happens when you buy and sell a property on the same day, often used in wholesale deals.
Mm-hmm.
And a novation is basically a new agreement where a new party takes over the obligations of an old contract.
Gotcha. Those sound pretty advanced.
They can be. That's why you want a title company that knows the ropes, not learning on the job with your investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So beyond knowing those terms, what else should you look for in a title company if you're doing creative financing?
Look for someone who's proactive, communicates well, and knows how to navigate the unique aspects of these transactions. They should explain things clearly and keep you in the loop every step of the way.
Got any examples of that in action?
Yeah, this wholesaler I know used a title company that specialized in assignments.
Okay.
They found a great deal, but there was a small lien on the property. The title company jumped in, cleared it up quickly, kept everyone informed, and the deal closed within 2 weeks. No problem.
Wow, that's smooth. All right, let's talk red flags. What are some signs that a title company might not be the best choice?
Big one. High-pressure sales tactics. If they're rushing you, pushing you to decide quickly, that's a red flag.
Right, you don't want to feel pressured with something this important.
Definitely. Also, be wary of unclear fees. A good company will be upfront about their costs, give you a detailed breakdown. If they're vague, that's a warning sign.
So transparency is key.
Absolutely. Another red flag is a bad track record. Look for online reviews, ask around, see if they have a history of complaints or unresolved issues.
So do your research, basically.
Yep. And when it comes to creative financing, there are a couple of extra red flags to be super aware of.
Okay, lay them on me.
First, be careful if a company seems unfamiliar with creative financing structures. If they don't know subject to wraps, novations inside and out, that can lead to delays, errors, even invalid contracts.
So they might not fully grasp the nuances of these types of deals.
Exactly, and that can cause a lot of headaches. The other thing to watch out for is unclear fees, especially with creative financing where margins are often tight.
Right, you don't want any surprise costs popping up.
No, you need a title company that breaks down their fees clearly up front.
Okay, so using a title company that specializes in creative financing has some real benefits. Can you expand on those a bit more?
Absolutely. One big one is legal protection. A company experienced in creative financing can make sure all your paperwork follows state laws and that your financing structure is legally sound, protects both you and the seller.
So they're like legal guides, making sure you don't run into trouble.
Exactly. They make sure everything is by the book. Another benefit is streamlined communication.
How so?
They're the central point of contact. You, the seller, the lender, if there is one, they keep everyone informed and on the same page.
So no communication breakdowns or misunderstandings.
Right. Everyone understands the deal, the timelines, any special requirements. Keeps things moving smoothly.
Sounds like they take a lot of stress off your plate.
They do. And by handling all those details and communication, they free you up to focus on finding and negotiating great deals.
So we've talked about the benefits. Now, some practical tips for working with a title company. What can investors do to make the process as smooth as possible?
The most important thing is to give them clear, accurate information up front. Everything. The complete purchase agreement, all the property details, address, legal description, price.
So no typos or missing pages.
Right. The more accurate your information, the smoother it will be. And communication is crucial. Keep everyone in the loop. Seller, agent, lender, anyone involved. Tell the title company about any changes right away.
So everyone stays informed and on track.
Yeah. Another tip is to do preliminary title searches early on.
What does that accomplish?
It helps find any title issues right away so you can deal with them before you get too far into the deal.
So you can address any red flags early on.
Exactly. And it gives you time to figure out how to solve those issues, whether it's through negotiating with the seller or finding other solutions.
Good strategy. Any other tips?
Yeah, stay organized.
Yeah.
Use tools like Airtable to keep track of your documents, communication, deadlines. Make sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Like a digital filing cabinet for your deals.
Yep. And finally, take time to understand the closing process, all the steps involved.
Why is that so important?
It helps you know what to expect and what you need to do. The more you understand, the less stressful it will be.
Makes sense. Can you give me an example of how bad communication can cause problems?
Oh, yeah. This investor was buying a property, forgot to give the title company a crucial seller authorization form,
Oh,
delayed the whole closing because they couldn't verify some key info without it.
ouch. That's a preventable mistake.
It was. Shows how important it is to communicate clearly and promptly with your title company.
All right, we've talked about the role of title companies, how to find a good one, how to work with them effectively. Any other tips specifically for investors? What should they keep in mind?
A few key things. First, always do your due diligence.
Meeting.
Make sure the seller actually has the right to sell. Verify ownership, legal authority to transfer the property.
So don't just take their word for it.
Exactly. Use online resources, check records, do your research. Second, be prepared for title issues. Lieners, judgments, unpaid taxes happen more often than you think.
So don't assume every property has a perfect title history.
Right. And don't be afraid to walk away if things get too messy. Another key thing is to understand the different types of titles.
There are different types.
Yep. A clear title means there are no known issues with the property's ownership.
So it's a clean slate.
Exactly. An insurable title means the title company is willing to insure the title, even if there are some minor known issues.
Okay, so it's like, we know there's a scratch on the car, but we'll still insure it.
Exactly. Important to know which type you're dealing with. Also, standardize your agreements. Use the same purchase agreement for all your deals, makes things easier for the title company.
Streamlines the process.
Yep. And lastly, don't be afraid to get legal help, especially for complex transactions like novations.
When would you say it's necessary to involve a lawyer?
If you're not sure about something, if the legal documents are complicated, or if you just want extra peace of mind, a real estate lawyer can be a huge help.
They can navigate those legal complexities for you.
Exactly. They can spot potential problems, protect your interests, make sure everything is done correctly.
This has been so helpful. Thanks for sharing your expertise. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Just remember, a great title company is a partner, not just a service. They help you close deals, protect your investments, and avoid costly mistakes. Choosing the right one is worth every penny.
We've talked a lot about experience and reputation when it comes to choosing a title company. But what about the cost? Is that something investors should be really worried about?
Yeah, cost is definitely a factor,
Uh-huh.
but it shouldn't be the only thing you're looking at.
Right.
You know, the old saying, you get what you pay for,
Mm.
it often applies to title companies too. If a company is way cheaper than everyone else, there might be a reason.
They might be cutting corners.
Exactly. Or they might not have the expertise you need for your specific situation.
So how do you find that sweet spot, that balance between price and quality?
Get quotes from a few different companies.
Okay.
Companies that have good reputations, that you've heard good things about. Compare what they offer, their fees, their experience. And don't hesitate to ask questions. Ask about their process, their turnaround time, how they handle problems that come up.
You're really looking for the best value, not just the lowest price tag.
Exactly. You want a company that's fair with their pricing, but also has the experience, the reputation, and the skills to get the job done right.
And at the end of the day, the cost of the title company is usually pretty small compared to the total cost of buying a property.
Right, it's a small piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And considering all the potential risks involved, using a reliable title company, it's really like insurance for your investment.
Speaking of insurance, we touched on title insurance earlier. Can you remind us why that's so important?
Sure, title insurance is there to protect you, the buyer,
Uh-huh.
if any hidden title problems come up after you've already bought the property.
So it's like peace of mind, just in case something unexpected happens.
Exactly. It covers things like lien-ins that you weren't aware of, disputes over property lines, even someone else coming forward and saying, hey, I own this property.
Oh, wow.
Those kinds of problems, they can be really expensive and time-consuming to fix.
Yeah, for sure.
But title insurance will have you covered.
Sounds like a no-brainer for any real estate investor.
It really is. And there are actually two types of title insurance you should know about.
Okay.
Owner's title insurance and lender's title insurance.
What's the difference?
Owner's title insurance protects you, the buyer.
Okay.
Lender's title insurance protects the bank or whoever gave you the mortgage.
Got it.
So if you're getting a mortgage, the lender will usually require you to get lender's title insurance.
Makes sense.
Owner's title insurance is optional, but it's highly recommended.
So if I'm paying cash for a property, I wouldn't need the lender's insurance, right?
Correct. You would only need the owner's title insurance in that case.
Okay, good to know. And roughly how much does title insurance usually cost?
It varies depending on the property's value and location, but it's typically a one-time fee that you pay at closing.
Seems worth it for the peace of mind it provides.
Definitely. And it's good for as long as you own the property.
So it's a long-term investment in protecting your rights.
Exactly. And it can really help if you decide to sell the property later on.
Okay.
Having a clear, insured title makes the selling process much smoother.
So many things to consider with real estate.
It is a lot.
It really highlights how valuable a good title company is.
Yeah, they play a key role in making sure the transaction is legal, transparent, and protects everyone's interests.
And as we talked about before, Their role becomes even more important when you're dealing with creative financing strategies.
Absolutely. Creative financing often involves more complex structures and legal considerations.
Huh?
Having a title company that understands those complexities is crucial.
Can you give us some examples of how a title company can help investors who are using creative financing?
Sure. Let's say you're doing a subject to deal, where you take over the existing mortgage. A title company that's experienced with subject to transactions can help you understand all the legal details, make sure the paperwork is filed correctly, and protect you from any potential issues down the road.
So they make sure everything is set up correctly, legally sound.
Exactly. Or let's say you're doing a wraparound mortgage, which is basically creating a new mortgage that includes the existing one.
Okay.
The title company can ensure that wraparound mortgage is documented properly, that everyone understands their rights and obligations.
So it's like they're guiding you through the process, helping you avoid making mistakes.
That's a great way to put it. They offer their knowledge, their guidance, and their support.
So if you're thinking about creative financing, finding a title company that specializes in those types of deals,
It's a must.
yeah, definitely an investment that can pay off big time.
Absolutely. It can save you time, money, and a lot of headaches down the line.
This has been really helpful. Thanks for breaking down the role of title companies and why they're so important. Any other advice for investors as they embark on their real estate journey?
The real estate market is always changing, so it's important to stay informed and be adaptable.
What are some of the big trends you're seeing right now?
Technology is the big one. We're seeing more and more real estate transactions happening online.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit earlier. How's that impacting title companies? Are they having to adapt?
Oh, absolutely. They have to evolve or get left behind. A lot of title companies are offering online services now.
Like what?
Digital document signing, virtual closings, even remote notarization.
So you can handle a lot of the process remotely now.
Exactly. It's super convenient, especially for busy investors or people who aren't local to the property.
Are there any downsides to this shift online? Anything investors should be cautious about?
Yeah, you always want to make sure the online platforms are secure, that they're protecting your personal information.
Makes sense.
Choose a title company with a good track record of using technology responsibly, one that offers solid customer support if you need help.
Do your research, pick a company you trust.
Exactly. Another trend we're seeing is the rise of alternative financing methods, things like crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending.
Interesting. How are title companies navigating those new waters?
They're learning, they're adapting, they have to figure out how to handle these new structures smoothly. It's a good opportunity for companies that are willing to be innovative.
Sounds like the role of the title company is getting more complex all the time.
It is, but it's also becoming even more crucial. As the real estate market evolves, investors need a trusted partner who can guide them through the process and protect their interests.
Couldn't agree more. This has been such an informative conversation. Thanks for sharing your insights on the evolving world of title companies and their importance in real estate investing. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they start their investing journey?
Find a knowledgeable, reputable title company. Make them part of your team.
Great advice. To our listeners, thank you for joining us. We hope this has given you a better understanding of title companies and how to choose the right one for your needs. Until next time, happy investing.